I have a question about the word conversion therapy because I did a year of conversion therapy, and that was meeting with an ex-lesbian person, and we prayed through my sins. The idea behind conversion therapy was that there was trauma in my past, and that was causing my sexual orientation to skew, and so I spent a year doing all of this prayer for deliverance. And then I hear some language here being talked about, like being delivered of homosexuality. If it's not being done by a clinical psychologist, that doesn't change the fact that it's trying to convert you from being one thing to another thing. And I think that is objectively harmful.
My heart does go out to Brendan, actually. My heart does go out to Brendan, having known that for a year he went through conversion therapy that, in his view, didn't work. I think that it is bad it's almost prosperity. It's almost a false gospel to. What's good? How y'all doing? My name is Zachary Carroll, aka Pastor Z. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to review another Jubilee video. This video is between LGTV people and ex-LGTV people. Can a person no longer be gay? Let's go ahead and watch this video.
Conversion therapy has positive outcomes.
Praise the Lord, yes.
Thank God nobody stepped forward.
Thank God nobody stepped forward.
I guess, can everybody come forward?
I believe conversion therapy is detrimental because I believe the only person that can convert you is Jesus Christ. Homosexuality is not the only sin. Murdering is a sin. Thieving is a sin. If I were to steal that jacket from you and run out of here, that's a sin. You know what I mean? I don't believe conversion therapy is really converting somebody because I believe homosexuality is a demonic spirit. And the only way a demonic spirit can leave a person is through the power of Jesus Christ.
So do you hold homosexuality and murder on the same level?
They're both sin.
Well, can I say something about conversion? I actually experienced conversion therapy. So I actually was an attendant of the Exodus Ministries, if you guys are familiar with that.
That's what I'm sure was all going to come up.
An nonprofit, interdenominational ex-gay Christian umbrella organization that sought to help people, quote, help people who wish to limit their homosexual desires, from Wikipedia. So I don't know what conversion therapy is, honestly. So if you're saying conversion therapy is shocking people, is putting people in a mental hospital and shackling them up, no, I don't think that's good. That's not good. I think the problem becomes, what are you going to call conversion therapy? Are you going to call a focus group that helps people learn how to cope with and put appropriate boundaries in their life from sexual sin? Is that conversion therapy? If I have a group of guys and we go through a book that's talking about how to free yourself from the addiction to porn, which I've gone through myself, and I've gone through it with other guys too. Like, is that conversion therapy?
I have a question about the word conversion therapy because I did a year of conversion therapy, and that was meeting with an ex-lesbian person, and we prayed through my sins. The idea behind conversion therapy was that there was trauma in my past, and that was causing my sexual orientation to skew, and so I spent a year doing all of this prayer for deliverance. And then I hear some language here being talked about, like being delivered of homosexuality. If it's not being done by a clinical psychologist, that doesn't change the fact that it's trying to convert you from being one thing to another thing. And I think that is objectively harmful.
It's not about bringing that community from gay to straight. Right. It's bringing them from gay to a relationship with the Lord. I'm married today. I have a baby on the way, right?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
bro.
But I think when I tell people my testimony, they take the highlight of my story as me being married and me having a child on the way. But the highlight of my story is me coming from a gay lifestyle to a relationship with the Lord. Okay, my desire to be with a man is no longer there. I want to be with a woman, right? But it came from my relationship with the Lord. So it's about bringing that community from a relationship with the Lord rather than from gay.
I'm a
gayness.
therapist. I've been a therapist for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And I would say at least half, if not more, of the clients that my team and I work with are people just like you. They call us and they say, I have 3 kids, I have an amazing life, but in time, all it has brought is suffering. That is their
To be a
story.
Christian is part of being.
I think that woman, that therapist, is the most dangerous person on the panel, even more so than Brandon. My heart does go out to Brandon, actually. My heart does go out to Brandon, having known that for a year he went through conversion therapy that, in his view, didn't work. I think that it is bad it's almost prosperity. It's almost a false gospel to sit with somebody for an entire year and pray with them so that they no longer have the temptation of sin. I don't know a single biblically sound person that would do that. Now, helping you deal with the temptation and the sin, helping you deal with these struggles, yes, pray without ceasing, but essentially praying that something goes away, some temptation that you have goes away, I think is the same thing as praying that God sends you $1 million. It's a very artificial, material prayer. And there is no biblical evidence that God will remove any temptation that you have. What we do have here is 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to humanity. God is faithful, and he will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape so that you are able to bear it. This is God's response to our temptations. He's not going to completely remove. I'm not saying that he can't. There is no promise in Scripture that he's going to remove all of the temptation towards sin. Because then that means he would have to fundamentally and radically change the nature of free will, which means the nature of our love for him will radically and fundamentally change. If we don't choose to deny ourselves and follow him, if we don't choose to live a life for Christ in spite of our fleshly desires, then what does it really mean to love somebody? What does it really mean to love him? We will no longer be battling sin. We will no longer be battling the works of the flesh. Now, there will come a time where all of this will go away, but it won't happen on this side of Ragnarok. But it won't happen on this side of the apocalypse, the end of all things. Revelation 21:4. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea no longer existed. I also saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared like a bride adorned for her husband. And then I heard a loud voice from the throne. Look, God's dwelling is with humanity, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will no longer exist. Grief, crying, and pain will no longer exist, because the previous things have passed away. This is when the temptation will no longer be. This is when we will no longer grieve. We will no longer hurt. We will no longer cry. We will no longer be inclined towards sin. because he has recreated everything. The one seated on the throne said, look, I am making everything new. He's going to start everything over. So there is no such thing as this promise that you were going to no longer have the temptation towards sin. It can happen. It can happen. But I think that is not something anybody can say because we're all bound by time. You can say that for this amount of time in the past, I no longer had this desire, but you can't say in the future, you're not going to have this desire. Like you're not going to get tempted to watch a pornographic video again. You're not going to, be tempted to look at a woman lustfully. You're not going to be tempted to have an inappropriate relationship with someone of the same sex. You can't say, no one can ever say that. So to say that you have been delivered from sin is almost like boasting about tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so either way it goes, there's no promise in the Bible that God will remove on this side of the apocalypse, God will remove all of your temptations. Not to say that it won't happen and it can happen, but it is not a promise. And anybody who is leading somebody who is same-sex attracted through a process to pray for that, something that specific, is completely wrong and is, in my view, spiritually abusing that person, and probably is the reason why Brandon Robertson is the way he is. He probably feels like God doesn't love him. He probably he must be in an incredible confusion because someone took him through this false journey. Same thing. I mean, a lot of people do it when they fast for a specific purpose. Like you fast for a specific thing for God to do for you. You fast so that God can give you more money. You fast so God can give you that job. You fast so God can heal a family member, which is what I'm guilty of. Fasting for my mother. Fasting that God heals her on earth. Fasting that, this family struggle no longer plagues us. And God never gave me what I fasted for in those instances. He never did. And it wasn't a reflection of his character. It was a reflection of mine. I was fasting for the wrong reasons. I was praying for the wrong thing. We can't pray for the wrong thing because, we can pray for the wrong thing all the time and nothing's going to happen. In the same way that if you are trying to build a desk and you're using the wrong tools, you ain't going to get it done. Or if you're trying to get in shape, but you're not doing the proper things in order to get in shape, you're never going to get in shape. Doesn't matter how hard you work, how much effort you give. And the same thing with like in relationships and marriage. You can give all your efforts to your spouse in a way that's not their love language. They love quality time. And you think that it's gifts. Maybe you like to give gifts, or maybe you are good at giving gifts. So you shower your significant other, you shower your spouse with gifts, and you spend a lot of money, or you spend not even a lot of money. You spend a lot of time buying gifts for them, thinking about gifts for them. But it's not going to bring you closer to your spouse because that is not their love language. That is not their love language. So you can be sincere, you can give all your effort, you can spend a lot of time doing something that is wrong, and you'll never see the fruit of it. So if conversion therapy is making promises to people that you will no longer have a desire, that is just a flat out lie. It might as well be the prosperity gospel. Might as well be the prosperity gospel. So I believe that during that process, Brandon Robertson lost his faith. Now, I don't know what happened that made him start this process of false teaching, which I've already responded. I'm gonna put the card up in the corner. But it's very clear that to me now that is when he lost his faith. And I've seen that in a lot of people. They sought Christ in the wrong places and didn't find him because that's not where he was. And then they concluded that he doesn't exist, or they concluded a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So my heart goes out to them, actually, because they were given bad leadership and guidance. They were not taught correctly. And that is really a shame.